In this video, I'm going to be walking you through the 2025 fat loss strategy that is currently rocking the internet right now. And I'm going to be using a case study from my client, Mike, who is 57 pounds down, eating more food. And if you don't think it's possible, I'll not only walk you through the science behind metabolic priming, what carbohydrate metabolism is, how to calculate your current starting macronutrients to make this possible and optimize your metabolism. And then we're going to walk you through step by step the changes that I made to Mike's plan, the actual daily goals and supplements I put into his metabolic priming phase, but also his fat loss phase. So we're going to be giving you the entire kitchen sink away today to just help you guys out on your fat loss journey, because the whole channel is designed to help the viewers, help the subscribers get to a next level physique and lose a ton of weight. Because, we had an actual subscriber who commented on a video, wanted to see a case study from a guy who has lost tremendous amounts of weight. And, we have over 5 guys in the last 6 months who have lost 100 plus pounds. And this is the exact strategy that we use. Metabolic priming. So if you guys don't know me by now, my name's Adam Bunnell. I'm an online fat loss professional. I run one of the top trending online fitness programs on the internet right now using this exact strategy, metabolic priming. I've worked with 200 men just the last 6 months alone from 7 different countries, and we've lost a total of 5,000 pounds of body fat amongst all of our clients, because the process that we use with metabolic priming is not only repeatable, but when I start to walk you through it, you're going to start to understand it fully and understand the concept of how it's possible and start to grasp the reality of it. Because I know there's a lot of guys who watch my channel and a lot of guys who don't think this is possible, but I try to lay it out for you guys all on my channel. Just try to lay it out for you so you guys can understand it, so you understand the process fully. So stick with me, because I'm going to walk you through it to actually help you grasp the concept of metabolic priming. So here is the stats right here, 249 to 192. But I want to actually share with you the science behind metabolic priming. And so if you were to search metabolic priming on Google, this is exactly what it would say. One, metabolic priming is the manipulation of cellular metabolism, which I currently specialize in at the macro level, turning the body into food storage mode, stimulating BMR to burn energy, right? So the first thing I want you guys to understand is that the body doesn't burn energy in just one certain way. A lot of people think that, your exercise, your running, your cardio is burning calories. That burns about 10% of what you actually burn per day. Your active cardio is only like 5 to 10% of how your body burns calories. How does your body burn calories these other ways? Well, we have the thermic effect of food, which makes up 15%. We have the non-energy activity thermogenesis, which makes up another 10 to 15%. And then we have basal metabolic rate, which is your metabolism, which makes up 60%. And so if we hyper-focus on simply just improving the metabolism, you can not only eat more food, but you will lose more body fat, right? And it's turning the body into food burning mode, right? Reduction of oxidative stress, inflammation by repairing hormones through higher level nutrition strategies. Focus on raising BMR, manipulation of cellular metabolism to pH, O2 levels, and nutrient availability to stimulate metabolism. So here are some of the mechanisms of metabolic priming. Hormone changes, enzyme activation, mitochondrial adaptation, increase energy expenditure, improve fat burning, enhance muscle growth. All sounds pretty good to me. So I want you to actually understand the basis of the backstory of metabolic priming and how we use it in accordance to how carbohydrates, right? Because carbohydrates in our program are a big utilization, and why a lot of the guys come into our program because they've been stuck in the low carb diets, the 21st century, basic diets that you see on the internet, like carnivore, low carb, and just these kind of cookie cutter approaches that don't really teach anything, and just simple-minded idiots who want to be in a calorie deficit, but they don't really understand how important carbohydrates actually are, because carbohydrates are the main fuel source your body uses for everyday activities. If you correlate your BMR to carbohydrates correlate to actual essential body functions: breathing, blood flow, sleeping, organ function. That's how your body uses calories. And yes, in a certain sense, you can turn the body into a fat adaptated state, which yes is like the ketosis state, or why people eat the carnivore diet, where it's your body's primarily using fat. But there's a lot of downside to that. One being you have to stay away from carbohydrates, because as soon as you do eat some carbohydrates, you fall out of that ketosis state. On the other hand, what is more important is utilizing your body's main fuel source and preferred fuel source, which is carbohydrates, right? Primary fuel source. It correlates to a lot of metabolic processes. The body's breakdown of carbohydrates into glucose, which is used by fat cells. But I want you to understand even a deeper sense of why carbohydrate is even more beneficial from an energy source perspective. Carbohydrates are the body's main fuel source, broken down into glucose. It runs your brain, muscle function, gluconeogenesis, ATP production, insulin and blood sugar. So if a lot of guys I know who watch my channel who are borderline diabetes, well, we've helped a lot of our clients who are borderline type 1 diabetes reduce a lot of their A1C levels by, implementing carbohydrates and getting their body more sensitive to carbohydrates, right? And so insulin and blood sugar can be improved within metabolic priming. Carbohydrate intake triggers the release of insulin, which helps regulate blood sugar by facilitating glucose uptake. Metabolic processes, fiber benefits, type 2 diabetes, is important for managing conditions like type 2 diabetes, where the body doesn't produce enough insulin or can't effectively use it, leading to problems with glucose regulation. And then exercise can improve carbohydrate metabolism, increasing insulin sensitivity, right? So glucose uptake. So I want you to understand another backstory behind carbohydrates and the importance of carbohydrates for your thyroid, right? So carbohydrates correlate to something in your thyroid called T3, which is an active thyroid hormone, right? They've done multiple studies on your thyroid hormone. In a sense, your thyroid transfers T4 to T3, which is the active thyroid hormone, and carbohydrates are directly correlated to T3 levels, right? So hypercaloric diets for 2 weeks demonstrated a 47% decline in serum T3. We conclude that dietary carbohydrates is an important regulatory factor in T3 production in men. Okay, cool. So we know that your thyroid works off carbohydrates. So the phrase fat burns in a carbohydrate flame is the body's need for a presence of carbohydrates to effectively utilize fat as an energy source, meaning without sufficient carbohydrates, the body cannot effectively break down and burn fat molecules. Essentially, carbohydrates act as a necessary component for the complete oxidation of fat within the body's metabolic processes. So yes, it's the phrase fat burns in a carbohydrate flame is very two-sided. First of all, from obviously a more scientific background approach of the complete oxidation within fat, but also from a psychological perspective, right? Because carbohydrates induce energy levels. You get more energy, more brain clarity, and cognitive clarity. And once you get those, what actually happens as a side effect is that your non-energy activity thermogenesis goes up. And to put this in kind of more lamer terms, imagine if you have a ton of energy, are you going to move around a lot? Yeah, you're going to be typing on your keyboard, fidgeting your feet, maybe go on that extra walk, maybe tell the wife, no worry, honey, I'm going to go get the groceries. And all of these things lead to more calories burned from a psychosomatic point of view without even really trying to do it. So really, carbohydrates are extremely, extremely important within your body. And put this into context is yes, overall calories are what matters. If you eat less calories, you're going to lose weight, right? So if you haven't tracked your calories, that's probably your starting point. But a lot of my clients who came to me have done this before. They've used lower carb diets and they've just completely shattered their metabolism. And so this is the process to restart your metabolism, right? And we had a client, his name's John Robertson. If you watch this right now, John, I'm bringing you up, but he told us this week, actually, he said, I thought my metabolism was broken until I came to your guys. I thought I had no hope until I came to you guys, right? So we effectively improve metabolism, but let's get down to more tactical information on how we really do it, okay? So the starting macros for Mike, right, who lost 57 pounds, we started him off at 200, 175, and 50, right? And so if you've been watching my videos for a while, you know that I like to give you guys a good starting point on how to correctly calculate macronutrients with a carbohydrate metabolism perspective. So really, I want to show you first where he started, and then how I implemented his calories, right? So goal is to get to 190, 230 is the goal. Current has had shoulder problems, current calories 2,000 per day. He was 249, right? So those are kind of the stats that I need to know to create an actual program based around macronutrients. And obviously, a little bit overweight. So 249, 2,000 calories per day, wasn't losing weight, kind of stuck in a plateau. So what we need to do is we need to restructure his macronutrients, right? So there's a couple different sides of this story that I want to tell, but I almost kind of kept this out of there because there's going to be a lot of questions that come around this, and a lot of questions that's more just based around me doing it for so long and why I did certain things. But I'm going to kind of give you a basic approach to kind of help you guys out. There is always certain caveats. When you're creating a customized plan, there's always certain caveats that you have to recognize. But this is going to be a good basic approach to get you guys started. And if you implement this today, you'll lose 5-10 pounds within the next 2 weeks. I have no doubt. So anyways, I would take your current calories, protein times 1 to 1.2 times your body weight, 0.3 times body weight in fat, and fill the rest with carbs, okay? So notice how we start him off at 1,900 calories right here. So we wanted to start him off at 1 to 1.2 times his body weight. Well, obviously his body weight's 249. Well, he's also a little bit overweight, right? So we don't want to start him off at a 250 protein goal. What I would more likely do is start him off at 225, right? I think majority of my clients are who are above the weight of 225 start right around 225. There's maybe, I don't know, 10, 15% of my clients that get up to 250 grams of protein, but there is a diminishing return on protein the higher that you get in protein, okay? So you can use some of those calories in the carbohydrates. And so that's exactly what we did. Instead of starting off at 225 even, we started him off at 200. Why? It's because we wanted to use more of his lean body mass, right? And so, based upon his current intake and kind of where he was actually under eating on protein ever so slightly. I think it was like 150 to 175. So we did not want to start him off at 225. Reason being is because, one, if you start someone off at 225 and they've been eating 150 to 175 for so long, they're going to feel stuffed, right? And they're going to not even obviously resent eating so much. Okay, so we had to start them off at something that's going to be a little bit more comfortable. So what we did, we started them off at 200. Eventually this gets up a little bit, but I'll show you the kind of changes we made. But the most important thing is the fat intake, because most of our clients who do come to us, they aren't regulating their fat intake. And to understand what fat intake does, it regulates a lot of hormone levels, T3, T4, metabolism, thyroid, testosterone, but also digestion. So for all of my clients, the first thing we always want to do is optimize digestion, because you can kind of see right here is if we just optimize his digestion and get him digesting food better, he would lean out significantly. And so the first thing we do is optimize digestion. Well, how do we do that? Lowering the fat intake. Lowering the fat intake will help free up a lot of digestion, improve digestion, and improve time to the eats, the excretes. So we wanted to lower the fat intake. So I put right here 0.3 times your body weight in fat. So if we take his body weight in fat, it'd be 74. Obviously, that's a little bit too high for what I would be starting him. I would recommend, if this is something that where you're at, start around 60. You'll be fine at 60. Why I started at 50 is because I wanted to quickly clean out his digestive tract. I would say do not go under 40 grams of fat, all right? 45 at the lowest, probably. 50 is pretty low in fat, but why I wanted to do that is I wanted to speed up his digestive process very quickly and get his body to digest a lot of food. If he starts to get very hungry and his satiety starts to go down, we can raise the fat intake 10, and it'll slow down the digestion ever so slightly and make you feel a little bit more satiated, because not only does fat intake control digestion, but it also controls a lot of satiety. So if you raise your fat just 10 grams, it can improve a ton of satiety, right? And so keep that in the back of your mind. But I want to start him off at 50, see how he felt, increase a lot of the digestion. And, the plan was if you start to get hungry, let me know. I'll raise your fat 10. But what we did after that, and then we have, the 50 grams of fat, 200 grams of protein, we actually started them off at right around that 2,000 calorie mark. Notice how we are eating the same amount of calories, right? But we are now having structured macronutrients. So this is called a body recomposition, right? You're eating the same macronutrients, no more nor less, or same calories, no more nor less, but now you're eating correct macronutrients. So this significantly will improve the first 1 to 2 weeks. You will lose 5 to 10 pounds. I mean, we had handful of clients who signed up last week from YouTube, lost 5 to 10 pounds within the week, right? Because of this process and how we structure this. So the last thing I wanted to say, and I almost didn't put this in there, but sometimes I do use this. If you have no idea where your current calories at, first of all, I would recommend tracking them for about 1 to 3 days, okay? Track them 1 to 3 days. But if you can't do that, you don't know how to track your calories, or you just need a starting calorie amount. First of all, if you don't know how to track your calories, that's the first thing you need to do. That's the easy part. The easy part is tracking the calories. The hard part is knowing how much. But what I've done before in certain cases when we try to get guys up and running pretty quickly, the first thing we would recommend is track for 1 to 3 days so we can see your average caloric intake. But what we've done before for overweight individuals is we've actually used their sedentary BMR. So I almost didn't put this in there because I'm actually a huge advocate against using online calculators to find your macronutrients, just because they're going to get it wrong 100% of the time, okay? But we do use every once in a while, we use an online calculator to kind of find out where basically their average BMR should be, right? And you can do this every once in a while if you don't know where your starting macronutrients should be, and you don't know how to track calories, and you don't know the macronutrient formula to find your starting calorie amount. You can do this. What it would be is One, you would search online, I think it's TDE calculator. I forget. I think that's what it's called. You can search TDE calculator, and you can type in your information and then just press sedentary, right? Or BMR, and it'll give you right around your base BMR rate. And if you start your calories right at your BMR rate and use this macronutrient formula and then start to work up, there's a couple good things that do happen. One is if like you're an overweight individual who has been eating crap food that is high in calories, if you reset this and like one, you eat clean food, but you eat at a very low calorie amount, you will like lower your weight, right? Just the law of thermodynamics. But this is for people who are well overeating on calories, Most of my clients are stuck in like the 2000s range and they've been there for a while. So like you can do this. Like I said, this is a little higher level strategy. I almost didn't put this in this video, but I try to explain to you guys because I know I'm going to get 10 questions off this right after this video, but it's okay. What you can do is you can use your basal BMR rate. If you're well overeating and you're overweight, and if you just use this macronutrient formula and start with those base calories at a sedentary BMR, but eat clean food. What you can psychologically do is you can eat more calories of clean food, but psychologically you're actually eating more volume of food. So like let's take this from a tactical example real quick. That client comes to us at 275 pounds. He's been eating, Sonic burgers, and then, his calories are probably around 3,500. What I do is I start him off at like 2,100 calories, tell him to eat clean food with clean macronutrients, higher protein, lower fat, good carbohydrates, and psychologically they'll eat less, right? Because they're eating more volume of food, but less calories. And that's something that you can do. But what that also does is it puts us in a position where we can start priming your metabolism, okay? So anyways, let's get down to more tactical information on how we made this possible. So anyways, with Mike right here, we start him off at that 1950 amount. And then really the process is pretty simple, right? Every week as he checks in, you will see how I'm literally raising his food. We end up raising that protein goal eventually. And it's not like we change these each and every single day. But what we did is we start raising the carbohydrates to fluctuate carbohydrate metabolism and slowly transition the body into a carbohydrate metabolism state, right? So each week as he checked in, and you can see some weeks that, he checked in, we didn't make any changes because like the truth about it is like the transition into carbohydrate metabolism, it's not a linear direction. There's certain clients that take longer than others, and there's certain clients that we have to let their body adjust another week and stabilize. But like he got up to 3,200 calories. 3,200 calories. And not only that, but he lost 26 pounds, eating 1,200 more calories per day. And here's the data to prove it, all right? And here's some of the daily goals we put in his plan to kind of help him out. We did 10K steps, men's multivitamin, kelp supplement, which some of these supplements we only recommend to clients in specific scenarios. Our supplementation that we use for our clients is very client in particular. What kelp does is it's a thyroid supplement that can improve iodine, gallon of water a day, fish oil, chicken, 1 to 2 servings of veggies a day. But he was up to 3,300 calories, eating 425 grams of carbs and 80 grams of fat, and down 26 pounds, eating more food, right? And here's the data to prove it. So here's how we actually did this, like from a week-by-week perspective. So we can already imagine he's been under eating on calories. He came to us at like, he said 2,000, right? He wasn't doing any cardio, but his metabolism over years of dieting and years of trying to lose weight had absolutely just broken the barrier. So what we need to do is we need to get this back up here. So each week as he checked in, we adjusted the protein or adjusted the carbohydrates. And yeah, you seen how I did adjust that protein up into 225 eventually. Didn't get him up above 225. But each week as he checks in, 25 more grams of carbohydrates, wait a week, 25 more grams of carbohydrates, wait a week, 25 more grams of carbohydrates. Oh, we may need to wait a week in between. So the decisions that I make based upon like when we should change are basically this. Like, okay, because our clients, when they check in with their weight, their photos, hunger levels, energy levels, strength. Those are the 5 data points, the 5 key data points that we use. So as they check in, if their body composition tightens up and gets leaner, but their weight might stay the same or go up a little bit, give him more food. Why? Because he's leaner, right? It's not about weight loss. It's about fat loss. Let's say, for instance, energy's high, hunger's average, right? And, he's down to weight. Okay, give him 25 more grams of carbohydrates. Let's say another scenario. Let's say that energy is through the roof and hunger is average or, low. What we can do is give more food because his hunger is low, which means that we can stimulate your basal metabolic rate a little bit more to improve hunger, because hunger isn't a bad thing, guys. Hunger is a hormone that is a key dictator on how your body's burning food, right? It's not a bad thing. We don't want to stay away from hunger. And like the hunger I'm talking about with my clients is like the manageable hunger. Obviously, if you're starving yourself, which we don't do to our clients, but if you're starving yourself, that's a different level of hunger. But hunger from a key data point perspective is a good indicator. We can understand hunger as a key important hormone to understand where the body's at metabolically. So like maybe their hunger's really high, right? Okay, cool. Give them a little bit more food. And we can even like think about from the perspective of maybe fatigue is way down, right? Okay, we probably need to give more food. Or maybe let's say muscle strength, like your actual strength is up. Body weight's the same. Big body composition is the same. What's happening? Well, so obviously you're gaining muscle tissue, right? And so if your body weight's the same, you're gaining muscle tissue, body hasn't changed much, and you're stronger, you're gaining muscle tissue. So it's not always about the scale. And the one thing I want to put into very large perspective for each and every single one of you like watching this right now, it is not about the scale. It is the fifth tracker of progress. If I could snap my fingers for you watching this right now and say, hey, like I'm gonna snap my fingers, you're gonna be your exact same weight, but you're gonna be 6-pack shredded, you're gonna be comfortable, and it's gonna be sustainable. Would you care? Absolutely not. You wouldn't give a shit. What you want is you want to lose body fat. You don't care about your weight. And that's the thing we teach to our clients is like, it is not about weight loss. It's about fat loss. Weight loss includes losing muscle tissue. And for the men we work with, that's detrimental hormone that plays a key role and a key dictator. So we do not want to lose muscle tissue. Anyways, we actually started this cut. So here's like 31 pounds down after this, right? So 31 pounds. This is where the last 31 of the 57 came from. So same thing happened. Is like when he checked in, what we did is we actually started a cut. So what we did in the opposite direction is we started lowering these back down. So we started at 33 and we started lowering them back down, Well, we would add like some cardio, some steps, because the three key data points and the three levers you pull in a cut are your steps, high intensity cardio like stairs or like incline cardio, and then food. Those are the three levers that you can pull. Why? It's because each one of them targets a certain energy source. Because like steps, for instance, is a lower intensity form of cardio that's non-inflammatory that burns more body fat. And what I mean by that is let's think about like the zones of cardio, for instance. There's 5 zones of cardio. Is that as you start to go up the zones of cardio, your body utilizes more carbohydrates. So there's 5 stages of zones of cardio. There's 5 zones of cardio. In each stage, as you get up and higher, you are utilizing more carbohydrates. The lower intensity cardio that you use more fat. And let's think about that from a logical perspective. Why is that? Why do we use more fat at a lower intensity state? Well, think about this like logically. Like if your body is wanting to put body fat off, what is it going to put body fat off as? It's fat, right? So at a lower intensity cardio state, your body is going to, hyper focus and hyper target a slower burning energy source, which is fat. At a higher burning energy source or high burning rate of cardio, like your elevated levels of cardio, logically, the body's going to want to stick to more carbohydrates because it's factor acting. It gets in the bloodstream quicker. It is ready and available very quickly. So understanding the zones of cardio is very important as well. For my guys out there who like to do HIIT cardio that don't eat enough carbohydrates, that is the reason why you're stuck. The main reason why you're stuck. I guarantee if you lowered your fat and raised your carbohydrates, you'd lose weight, okay? So understanding the zones of cardio is very important, but those are the 3 levers that we can pull. Raising steps, raising higher intensity cardio, and then lowering food. But we don't always want to do the same thing each and every single week, because as we do, we start to change certain things each week to see what makes a significant impact. And so as we start to go along this process with Mike, One, we'd put cardio back in, we'd lower food again, raise cardio, we'd raise cardio again, lowered food. So we actually gave a diet break, right? So we dropped him to 1,600 calories, which yes, I know is kind of low, but what we're purposely trying to do right here is we're trying to crash his metabolism again. Because if we crash his metabolism, we know how to improve it with metabolic priming, right? And so as we get lower in calories, we did a diet break and extended food raise where we gave him 75 more grams of carbohydrates and then cut cardio and then raise food for 3 weeks. And during this process of us raising food for 3 weeks, he lost another 10 pounds. Right? Because what we did is we put him in a position to prime his metabolism once again. And I want to show you how this kind of occurs, because as you can see right here on April 25th, he hit his all-time new low at 192. Okay, so let's correlate this back down here and see the days that we actually raised his food back up. Diet break on 4/11, right? So we put 300 grams of 300 calories under his belt and improved carbohydrate 75, raise him from basically 1,600 to 2,200, which is 600 more calories per day. And during that time, from 411 to 425, he lost and got hit his new high weight. So you can see right here, well, we can kind of see this leveling out of overall weigh-ins for him, and we can kind of tell, okay, we're low in calories, our body's pretty fatigued, he's checking in, he's pretty hungry, his fatigue levels are our energy levels are starting to decline, we should probably pull back on calories. So we pull back around this area right here on 411, and then boom, new low weigh-in, okay? So the biggest thing of why I want to show you this is it's not always about lowering your food and raising the cardio. You have to have logical sense of what the body's doing and how the body is checking in, because more is not always better. And I think that's the biggest thing for a lot of men in general, is that more is just not always better, because they think, I'm going to go out and do 25 minutes of cardio and do 17,000 steps, and they feel good about it. And I get it, 100% get it. And sometimes it happens with our clients, we have to slow them down. But you cannot underestimate just putting effort in the right places. Because if you go out and put a ton of effort in every place, then you're gonna make shit progress. But if you put a calculated amount of effort in a calculated place, you'll make amazing progress. Okay, so let's look about this kind of fat loss phase like we did with Mike, and I want to show you guys how we really did this. Okay, so we started at 2,300 calories, metabolism's optimized, zero cardio, and each week as he checks in, we either lower calories or raise food. Lower calories or raise food, right? We do not do both in the same sense. Maybe every once in a while we might, but typically we will just do basically a food change or a cardio change. Why? Is because we want to see which variable has the biggest impact. If we start at 3,200 calories and we just did 30 minutes of cardio, let's drop them 2,400 calories. Well, which one had the biggest impact, cardio or the food intake? We don't necessarily know. So what we do is we start by inching it down 200 calories, inching it up 20 minutes. And then each week we'll do, hey, let's do a food decrease this week. Okay, cool. We lost 2 pounds, 3 pounds. That's great. That's great. Let's raise actually a little bit more cardio this week. So what had happened to Mike over time, and what you guys kind of seen of why his weight went back down after we raised more food, is over time this just happens. This is metabolic adaptation. Your body adapts to the current calories, okay? So we got him pretty low in calories, and we can just based on his weigh-ins, his kind of fatigue levels, energy levels, we can kind of see we bottom out his metabolism. So what we did is we did the same thing. We cut his cardio, and then we gave him a food increase of 300 calories, but then we got them up to 2,200 calories, and now we can kind of start to see this start to come back up a little bit. And that's how you see in these weigh-ins right here from this last week from Mike, how we did that, and then he just shot back down after raising his calories another 600, right? And this whole process this is why it's so repeatable, because then what we're gonna do for Mike is we are gonna maintain this body composition, if not lose a little bit of weight. And we're going to start to get these calories up just a little bit more. But when his body hits the peak of where we can start to say, okay, our weight's kind of coming up a little bit, then we can, boom, reintroduce cardio, reintroduce a calorie deficit, right? So going over some typical daily goals from him, same thing. And this is from a while back. This is from before this screenshot was taken of his new low weigh-in today, this last week on the 25th. But typical things, he has his cardio plan, his steps per day. Let me zoom in on this for you guys can see this in the video. Sleep, men's multivitamin, kelp, gallon of water a day, fish oil, fasted cardio, carb sources. So we'll cut carb sources when we get lower in calories just to optimize the digestive process. But yeah, that's how we do it. And like, the proof's in the pudding, right? And like we've have multiple guys who've lost 100 pounds, 40 pounds, 100 pounds. We have a few guys who are in the 60s and 70s right now. And it's all using this process because it's a designed process that is not only repeatable, but is predictable, right? And so if you're somebody who's been struggling to lose weight and you're somebody who's been stuck and you just don't know what to do, you don't have all the key pieces put together, you know how to track food, but you just don't know the how much and how to change it. There's going to be a link in the description of this video. I want you to sign up for a time. We'll jump on a call, see where you're at, see what you're trying to get, and we'll see if it's a good fit for you to work with us. We work with a team of guys, and there's over 200 current clients on our program right now. We do group calls on Thursdays and Sundays, and we run a really great community, right? And we do amazing group of guys to work with. And if you're somebody who's been struggling to lose weight, but you're ready to get in the best shape of your life, predictably get back to what you looked like in your 20s, improve your energy, improve your confidence, improve your longevity, the link will be in the description of this video. Do not wait on it because you've been waiting long enough. Most of the guys, I know where most of you guys are at right now. You're just waiting, thinking there's always going to be a better time when you get less busy. Well, newsflash, there's never going to be a great time, okay? Because I'm guessing that 6 months ago you said the exact same thing, I'm going to wait until this XYZ happens and something else comes up. There's never going to be a better time, right? So if you're somebody who's been struggling, but now is the time to put your foot down, sign up for a time and let's see if it's a good fit for you to join the program. And if it is, we'll walk you through exactly how it's done. We'll teach you how to do it, teach you how to teach your children, how to teach your wife how to do it. And so this can be a generational change to you and your future children to come. So if that is you and you're struggling, you're ready to reach a next level physique, lose 50, 75, 100 pounds, or even get six-pack shredded for this next coming summer, sign up for a link down below. It'll be waiting for you. And I can't wait to see you in the community. So anyways, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.